I liked you got that little ending in there, Dave.
Yeah, since Liz is gone. Yeah. Man, she really would have
It was
loved this
good.
this topic as well today.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh man, wish you could have been on this in this one.
Yeah, Rex, what questions do you have?
Gosh, I got quite a few here. I'm trying to think of where to start because I want to talk about both topics. I guess I'll rewind back to the postpartum kind of marital depression one. But is there anything like that standard that women struggle with after they're kind of going through that transition? Like, is it just guilt, or I don't know? Is there any particular emotion or thing that's maybe kind of standard across the line, or more people experience?
Um, I mean, I don't know that it's standard, but a lot of women do struggle with guilt. A lot of women struggle with the the ideal version of motherhood that they have in their head and not themselves not meeting up to that, or even their partner or their family not kind of not meeting that ideal. Uh, a lot of women struggle with body image issues, like we talked about. Um,
What about connection? Do women struggle too with, like, I think this was mentioned earlier, like just feeling a connection with their newborn child? Do they
Mhm.
struggle with that?
Yeah, sometimes that's a great question. I think some women say, I immediately bonded with my baby, like the first time I held them, or even when I carried them, I had such a strong connection to them. But for others, it's not that way, and it's much slower. And I think that is one that brings a lot of shame, because again, we have this idea that like, oh, of course I'll love my baby right away and feel all the feelings of, I'll feel wonderful. But yeah, if you're struggling with that, you're definitely not alone. It's just like in a relationship, like some take longer to build. I've talked to women that have like traumatic birth experiences, and bonding with their baby is really affected by that. Um, so yes, that's one that people struggle with for sure.
um, what do you have any tips though for anybody who would be struggling with that? That sounds that would be a hard one because, like, oh, I have my baby and I should love it, and I like what you're saying. Like, it takes time, but is there any little hacks or tricks that you share with women to kind of help them build that connection?
Yeah, I like to say focus on the practical. Um, Women are usually doing these things anyway, but when they have the framework in their mind of, I'm doing this to bond with my baby, it helps. So just saying, okay, I'm going to look in my baby's eyes. I'm going to sing them a song. I'm going to change their diaper with love today. I'm going to, pat their back while I hold them. Like telling yourself, okay, I'm doing the steps to bond with my baby. That can be really helpful, and having so much self compassion and so much patience, and just yeah, the way you talk to yourself about it. It's so many times, if we think I'm not bonded with my baby, this is terrible. I'm going to ruin this baby's life. I'm going to like this anxiety spiral that would go on, right? And just saying like, hey, it's okay that it's working this way for me. I'm taking steps every day to work on bonding. And I know that my baby will appreciate it, right? Like telling ourselves a narrative like that can be really helpful. So,
Yeah, it sounds like having empathy not only for everybody else but yourself too. Just giving yourself a
yes,
little bit of
so
slack and a
important.
break.
Sometimes women, especially, yeah, we don't do that. We forget to do that. So,
That's incredible. When you're talking about patting, I just remember I have four kids too, and I remember one of my children. I would hold them, and they were the only one who did this, but I always thought it was really neat. I would pat them on the back, and they would pat me back at the same time. And I remember that was a really connecting thing. My other kids didn't do it. I still connect with them, but that was just something special. It just came to mind when you were talking about that. Those are really good tips. I think that's incredible. Like, yeah, look in their eyes and be conscious and think about it and do it with purpose. Um, Dave had asked us earlier. You work with the husbands or the spouses too of the woman to kind of help them. You have that whole shrimp thing. Is there anything else that maybe men struggle with that you could share that might help?
yeah, I think men also maybe struggle with their ideal version of fatherhood sometimes.
Mm.
What does it mean to be a good father? Now I have to be this protector or provider, and maybe I struggle with that and it's really hard. So kind of being aware of that too, like what is my ideal version of what happens now, and how can I reframe it in like a realistic and positive way for what my circumstances are. And I think for men and women, but being a parent can bring up our own childhood wounds. And like if you had a bad relationship with your dad or had struggles or had trauma there, that can kind of get stirred up when you become a parent as well. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Yeah, maybe like, do you ever have husbands or spouses who feel, oh gosh, I'm doing the same thing my dad or my other parent did, and I don't want to be that? Does that happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I have another question. You spoke to the word vulnerable, which I think is a really good word, especially in relationships, to be aware of. Do you have anything that could help people be more vulnerable with each other and kind of let their guard down and get that ego out of the way?
Yeah. Obviously couples therapy is a great place to start, but I think for some it's they're like it's hard to even grasp like what does it mean to be vulnerable. Yeah, like if you haven't experienced it in a relationship, you don't really have a good conception of what that even is. So I think there's a great workbook that I have done with couples. It's called the EFT workbook for couples, I think. But it kind of just walks through like, describe some events in your life. How did you feel about that? Like, how did the people around you respond to you? Like, what's your story with emotional connection?
What does EFT stand for? I think I've heard this before.
It stands for emotionally focused therapy for couples.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So that's a great framework for working with couples. But just realizing like you have your own story with emotional vulnerability, kind of like attachment theory too. Like, how did your caregivers or parents respond to you? Did they, were you left alone to kind of manage your feelings, or were you allowed to feel your feelings? And that all affects how you are in a relationship and your willingness or ability to be vulnerable. So kind of, I guess, long answer, like diving into all of that and just becoming more aware of it, right? Having it be more conscious is really helpful.
I have to agree with you 100% on that, because I've been married for 15 years, and when my wife and I got married, I did not know how to be even aware of my emotions. I would just feel things, but I wasn't aware of them. And then learning like, this is why I feel that way, or why I'm upset, or I'm really happy, and actually figuring those things out and experiencing them on a better level. And it really helps to improve communication in so many different things. So I 100% agree with what you're saying there. That's really cool. You had mentioned that, if I'm correct, it sounded like yoga was a really good thing to help women during that period of postpartum and stuff like that. Is there anything, any other tools in your bag that you really like to use?
Yeah. Postpartum, I think, it's hard. It's because I don't want people to be like, oh, I have to go use all the tools now. Because I think sometimes we're like, all right, I got the checklist, I'm going to do it all. But it's going slower a lot of the time. Sometimes it's not doing all the things, right? Sometimes it's like letting myself rest and relax is actually what I need. And it's hard. Sometimes we're not even in touch with that. We're not like, as people, like you said, like we don't know our feelings or we don't know what we need. And so when we preach like self-care to people, sometimes they're like, well, I don't even know what I need to take care of myself. So, but yes, yoga is a great tool. Rest and relaxation are great tools. Talking to people, connecting with people is a huge one. Connecting with people on whatever you're going through, making sure you have support. And I was going to say one more, but I forgot it. Yeah, I think not expecting yourself. That was it. Expectation. Not expecting yourself to immediately bounce back and get back into all of your old things. It's letting it be okay that it's really slow.
Yeah, like you said, like kind of harkens back to the self-empathy. Just kind of take it easy on yourself. Don't don't be your worst critic at this point right now.
Yes.
And have a little bit of slack. Do you have any personal stories or things that you experienced that have just blown you away? Like, oh, I had this client that was dealing with this and they went through that, and then they just made this major breakthrough. Is there anything, any stories with either postpartum or the interfaith thing?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a personal story about myself. When you said personal, that's where I went. But so I have 3 kids. And after my 3rd baby, I was having a lot of anxiety. And even I was surprised at the shame that I felt for feeling so anxious. And I had all the education and like all the tools and all the skills and whatever, right? But I was like, I still don't want to tell anyone about this. I don't want to have to, I felt some like shame of like, I don't want to be like that. So I just have so much empathy for people that struggle with that shame piece of like, I don't want to tell anyone about this because I don't want to even be dealing with this. So, just understanding that like the shame is a big part of that, but overcoming that shame is necessary. It's just part of the process to say like, hey, I'm a human. We're all humans. We all struggle with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think that would really help too, talking to your customers, is because you've been there and you know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything, Dave? It sounded like you might.
No, I know we're coming up against the hour, Laura, so we'll respect that time. But man, we sure appreciate you coming on and sharing all kinds of helpful tips. I think that a lot of people will be able to relate with and then want to seek out even more information. So thank you.
I could go on for another hour. This is really
it is great. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, do us a favor and take a few minutes to subscribe to our podcast and the Utah Marriage Commission YouTube channel, where you can watch this and every episode of the show. When you hit the like button and leave a comment, your feedback helps us improve the show. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend. You can also follow and connect with us on Instagram at Stronger Marriage Life and on Facebook at Stronger Marriage. Be sure to share with us what topics you want us to explore or what you loved about today's episode. If you want even more resources to improve your relationship connection, visit our website at strongermarriage.org, where you'll find free workshops, webinars, relationship surveys, and more. Each episode of Stronger Marriage Connection is hosted and sponsored by the Utah Marriage Commission at Utah State University. Finally, a big thanks to our producers Rex Polanis, Kirsten Wilson, and the team at Utah State University, and you, our audience. You make this show possible. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Utah Marriage Commission